Your team has planned an iteration and identified some risk in achieving iteration goals. What is the best way to track these risks? Okay, option A, make risks visible and review them in daily stand-ups. Add the risk in the risk register and assign a risk owner. No tracking of iteration level risks is needed. Option C. And finally, the option D, conduct a weekly meeting to review risks. You can pause, think, pick your choices. Okay. Now, the context here is you have just concluded, like your team is just concluding the iteration planning meetings. What do we do in iteration planning meeting? We plan for upcoming iteration. So we have a portion of a product backlog, which is planned for coming iteration. Now, when you are planning this, you might see there are some technical, people, management related risk for this piece of work only, the iteration goal, which you have picked up. Things may go a little bit wrong, which can put you in trouble for your iteration objective, which has an impact on iteration objective. Now, what should you do about those risks? Now, what is recommended is that we should make these risks visible and we should keep talking about them on a day-to-day basis. It is not something which we can put into a document and probably refer later, because this is something for very short duration work. It is not something which might come after a month. It is something, these risks will occur, if they have to occur, in next 2 weeks or few days only. So we need to keep our eyes on them. And if these risks are becoming reality, they will put your current iteration only in a trouble. So the best place to talk about these risks is daily stand-up. Maybe while you are concluding your daily stand-up, you need to review that, okay, is there any risk which can derail our plan? And if it is true, then we should plan differently for our upcoming 24 hours. Now, you can put them into your tracking board, risk board, whatever you are using. And there is a possibility that before you conclude the daily stand-up, you may review them. Let's look at other options. So you can read from my explanation, the option A to me looks the most appropriate here. Let's look at other options. Adding the risk in the risk register and assigning a risk owner. So first thing is, we are talking about adaptive life cycle. Now, we may have a hybrid situation where we maintain a risk register even in the adaptive life cycle. But a pure adaptive life cycle, until unless it is not hybrid, there is a high probability that we maintain our risk-related work either inside the iteration or in the product backlog. We may not necessarily create a separate risk register and assign a risk owner, because we don't have any other container to do something else related to risk. It is either iteration backlog or a product backlog. So option B is not appropriate until unless the question clearly tells me it's a hybrid environment, because the question is using the language of iteration planning, iteration goal. So assigning and creating risk register doesn't make much sense here. No tracking of iteration level risk. Definitely you need to track, because they will derail. And that's why we want to track our iteration plan every 24 hours. The whole idea of doing daily stand-up is that reviewing how are we doing for our current iteration. And if we have some challenge, if something is not working out, let's figure it out how to deal with it. That's the whole idea of daily stand-up. Conducting a weekly review meeting to review the risks. We already have sufficient amount of meetings built in the system when we work in the agile way. Adding another meeting, possible, but for that you need to have a solid reasons. It's possible that by doing retrospective meeting and you have a trend and you realize that we need a separate risk meeting, you can do that, but it should be avoided till the time you have a real need of it. And again, looking at something on a weekly basis, if the iteration duration is 2 weeks, the question is not talking about iteration duration though. If we have a 2 weeks long iteration, reviewing the risk only 2 times maximum will not produce the desired impact, because if things will go wrong, they can go wrong any point in time. So for my side, option A is the right option.